The Astros got a pair of wins in the Windy City this week against the Chicago White Sox in light of their very big series against the Baltimore Orioles coming up this weekend. And that should be a very fun series to watch. But yeah, we've got a couple of positives and some negatives, some all that jazz to cover in this video. So that's coming up next. So the first game of this series actually I thought was going to be a bad omen because Jonathan Cannon for the White Sox was just an out away from throwing a complete game against the Astros until they were able to knock him out. But unfortunately, they were still shut out by the White Sox in the first game of this series. So, I mean, honestly, after that result, I thought I was going to be talking about another series loss and that I was just going to gripe on it, Dana Brown, that we should be sellers at this year's trade deadline. Which I did read an article, I'll link it in the description for you guys, that maybe the Astros could be sellers at this year's trade deadline because it might be a good thing for them. And, I mean, obviously they would have to go into a retool if that would happen. But if they did sell, then, you know, supposedly that their retool or rebuild process wouldn't be as long versus if they were to just keep selling away their prospects for new pieces to just keep winning in the current period. I guess it is what it is. We'll see what Dana Brown wants to do, but let's continue on with recapping the series. First things first, injury updates. We've got some good ones and we've got some bad ones. We'll start with the bad ones first. The first of which being that Justin Verlander, unfortunately, after he had gotten scratched from his start last weekend against the Tigers with neck discomfort, unfortunately, that discomfort, I guess, was a bit more bad than we initially thought, and unfortunately, he's going to head to the injured list. And I believe that the soonest he could come off, or the soonest he could possibly even return, would likely be in early July. So, not that long, but at the same time, July is still about a week and a half away. So, you know, we'll see what happens there. As for who's going to take his place on the roster, the Astros are going to be calling up their Double-A prospect Jake Bloss, who, and yes, he is in Double-A right now, which means he's going to be skipping Triple-A entirely. I mean, this could honestly be worst case scenario. I mean, I'm a little bit scared. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. He was responsible for a recent no-hitter that Corpus Christi threw, but that still does not change the fact that he has no experience in Triple-A, and this could end up being a disastrous start for him. Best case is that this just seems like he feels right at home here in Texas. And another injury update, we've got Victor Caratini, who had left Tuesday night's game with what the Astros are describing as, I think, quad soreness or something like that. When the Astros are still waiting on test results on that, and I don't think they've announced it as of when I'm recording this video. But unfortunately, an IL stint is going to be likely for Caratini, so that's not a very good thing. But the Astros already had Cesar Salazar on their roster, so he took Caratini's place behind home plate, and he would actually end up having a productive night in this game, and I'll break that down in a bit. But yeah, Caratini to the injured list, not exactly a good thing because, you know, we always need to have a veteran catcher. It really helps. But yeah, with those bad ones out of the way, let's get into the one good one that I have to share this weekend with Kyle Tucker. Espada does say that he is hopeful, that he can start doing baseball activities this weekend. So that would mean that he could return sometime next week. Hopefully he can return next weekend because that's going to be another important series against the Mets. So we'll see what that happens. With the injury updates out of the way, let's go ahead and recap the series. So starting in the first game, like I said, this was just a nightmare game for the Astros. They were shut out 2-0 behind 8 2/3 innings by Jonathan Cannon. Framber Valdez pitched well in this game, but he was just clearly outdueled. And the Astros did have did have 7 hits in total. They did have get some runners in scoring position, but they just couldn't push a run across the plate. And quite frankly, dude, after this game, I thought, okay, maybe this season's over. But yeah, obviously the Astros apparently know how to flush down these bad losses behind them because game 2 of this series, they would end up winning it rather handily behind another top-notch quality start by Hunter Brown. Hunter Brown is killing it. Like, ever since his horrible start to the season, he has just been going off. This is, I believe, now his 7th straight quality start. He held the White Sox to just 1 run on, I believe, 8 hits, and then the bullpen carried it from there. Hader did allow 1 guy to reach, but he didn't get as far as first base, I don't think so. The White Sox did get 8 hits in this game, but they couldn't get a lot of runs across the plate. As for the scoring in this game, it was some pretty good one. Mauricio Dubon got it started by legging out a relay throw for a double play that would have otherwise ended the inning to score Chas McCormick. And then Cesar Salazar would also get an RBI single to make it 2-0 Astros, which was one of 2 RBIs that Salazar would get in this game. Though, of course, that 2-0 lead would not last as long, as Benintendi would cut into that with a solo home run. Benintendi, in my opinion, has really been a bit of a nemesis and against the Astros in his career. Ever since he was with the Red Sox, he's been with the Royals, and now he's with the White Sox. What do you know? And then Cesar Salazar would end up after he had gotten the Astros to a 2-0 lead, he would get that run back for the Astros on another RBI hit. And then Chas McCormick would give the Astros the insurance run in the 8th inning on a sac fly. 4-1 Astros would be your final score. All right, game 3, the rubber match. It was a bit nerve-wracking. I didn't watch this game, so I just caught up on highlights. But Yordan Alvarez, who had missed the first 2 games of this series while tending to a personal matter, he was able to report to the ballpark for Sunday's finale. Just, I would say, a mere couple of hours after, just a mere 2 hours, I think, before first pitch. But Yordan in this game had showed why he is so important to this team, as he would get 3 hits, including a home run in the first inning to start the scoring for the Astros. But the White Sox would then tag Spencer Arrighetti for 3 more runs in the 5th inning. And then with only 9 outs to play with, that was the deficit the Astros were looking at going into the 7th inning. But then disaster struck. The main reason why the White Sox, I think, have been struggling this year has been their bullpen. And that's because their bullpen is just atrocious. And I mean, personally, that's kind of the reason why John Cannon in this first game was making the Astros just look so off balance. And we didn't even get a chance to see their bullpen until game 2 of this series. And even then, we still tagged them for just 1 run. But the Astros would put up a 4 spot in the 7th inning of this game. And that's the first of 2 runs came on a single by Jose Altuve. Yordan Alvarez, 2 batters later, would follow with an RBI single of his own to tie the game up at 3. And then Cooper Hummel, who was making his Major League debut in this game, I don't remember whose roster spot he was replacing. So Hummel, who was making his Major League debut in this game, was up next to this plate with a man with the go-ahead run on third base, I think. He unfortunately would not get a hit in this game, so his first MLB hit would have to wait. But he was able to reach base for the first time on a throwing error by third baseman Len Sosa, as Alex Bregman was able to score the go-ahead run. And then Jeremy Pena, a few batters later, was able to force to draw a bases-loaded walk to make it 5-3 Astros. And then Josh Hader got the easy 1-2-3 save as the Astros take 2 out of 3 wins in the Windy City. Overall, a series that really, this again really should have been a series that should have been an easy sweep for the Astros. But after the 2-0 shutout loss for the Astros on Monday night, I thought maybe we were going to get swept ourselves. But luckily, that wasn't going to happen. So that's a good thing. Up next for the Astros, it's going to be a big one. The Baltimore Orioles are coming to town. They are just on fire this year. They're absolutely killing it. They're, I think, just a game and a half behind the Yankees, if not half a game back them in the AL East. I mean, I think if I'm not mistaken, they probably might be in first place after play today. But yeah, it's going to be a really tough series, dude. Mike, I'm hoping we can at least eke out a win this weekend. Jake Bloss is going to be making his Major League debut. I'm quite scared, like I said at the beginning of this video. Best case is that he's able to feel right at home in this series, but worst case, maybe the pressure is just too much and it ends up being more of a nightmare start. So, hopefully he can at least make it out of the first inning. So, this is the point where we need to start turning the corner because, if we can get at least close to above 500, by the end of this month would be a pretty tall task. We still have a lot of baseball left to play this month. But again, if we can get to 500 by the All-Star break, then, I think we should be in good shape. So we're only 5 games under 500 as we enter play tonight, which I believe is the closest that we've even been to 500 since April. We do still play Seattle a couple more times, including once coming out of the All-Star break. So we'll see how that goes. But for the time being, we just need to focus on what's ahead of us and win games against this very talented Baltimore Orioles team because, like I said, they're doing pretty decent. Their pitching their pitching rotation health has certainly seen better days because Kyle Braddis, I just saw, he recently underwent season-ending Tommy John surgery. Obviously, the Astros have lost 2 pitchers to Tommy John surgery this season, and they're going to get one back here soon. But, you know, at the same time, our pitching rotation is in shambles as we start this weekend series against the Orioles. So, all right. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you get, and drop your thoughts on it, how you thought on how you think this series went for the Astros. Did you like what you see, or could it have been better? But yeah, overall, good series. If you want to watch any of my other videos, click these two that are above my shoulders. Leave a like if you guys enjoyed, like I said, and I'll see you guys in the next one.